They've been with us a long, long time. No water on the floor. Let me take this opportunity to first welcome everybody here. Let me tell you a little about the history. We started this thing about 35 years ago, when only me and Dr. Smoot, Ron, you remember Dr. Smoot? We were the only two faculty members at this great institution. But that year we brought in quite a few students of color, about 12, 14 of them. And so we had the first reception at my house at the Belvedere Hotel. And my house was quite modest, and it was tough. But you know what? Over the years, decades, the Lord brought us to this that you see right now. And we started welcoming all the students, interns, residents, postdocs, faculty, staff. And the main reason for all of it was networking. Y'all gonna meet somebody tonight. I know Dan has all these stars on y'all. Meet somebody tonight that may touch you, may mentor you. And let me guarantee you that many great Americans began their journey right here. Let me tell you a few of them. How can I remember this far back? Selwyn Vickers from Huntsville, Alabama. Started right here, met somebody named Greg Butler, and started doing research. Selwyn ended up years later, even though George Wallace, I know y'all too young to know him, but in Montgomery there was a man named George Wallace, and said nobody, no black people, will be entering the University of Alabama. Selwyn Vickers is the president of that place right now. He started here because he started networking. But it wasn't just Selwyn. It was James Hildreth from Hunt, someplace in Arkansas. He wanted to go back to Arkansas and start a clinic because his mother didn't have health care. Selwyn ended up almost curing HIV with the gel. Selwyn started right here. And then there was Helene Gale, working to take care of Ebola right now. Started right here. She met people that changed her life, that made her life something. And I don't have to stop there. There's Vanessa Collins. I know some of y'all don't like this, but I do. She's the Vice President of Planned Parenthood. Thank you. She still believes in women's health and care. And you know that we got, I know Ron don't want me to preach tonight. But I'm just naming people whose journey began right here. And the whole thing was one, diversity, two, networking, and lifelong friendships. You don't know who you're going to meet tonight, but meet somebody. If you walk out of here, even if you didn't have a star on you, if you left here without meeting people, it would be your loss. It was meeting people that helped me get where I came. You know, I wanted to dedicate this to a man named Peter Maloney. Anybody know who that was? He was the dean of graduate students. Do we have any graduate students here? Raise your hand. Look at there, look at there. See, we didn't have that in the first year. Peter cared about you guys. Peter cared about diversity. Peter cared about me. And he passed not long ago. He was not only a dean, but he was a great scientist. and a humanist. And you know who else we lost this year? Maya Angelou. And I'm going to dedicate this to that sister. She loved Johns Hopkins, y'all. I'm telling you, she came here, well, officially maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times. Unofficially, I would say 10, 14 times. She loved Hopkins, but what we represented, and the people that she met here. Now, you know, she was at Wake Forest, and they got all uptight when she came to Johns Hopkins. She came here because of networking and the people that she knew that would take care of her. And the final person, Yuri Kuyama. You won't know who that person was. But that was a person that when Malcolm X was shot, she cared about diversity, held it until he was pronounced dead in that theater. So there's some people, and don't you ever forget the people that came before you. Don't be talking about your mama taught you how to read. There were people long before you. Frederick Douglass's mother taught him how to read, but he did much more. Martin Luther King's mother, Mrs. King, taught him much more. So I want some of that to infiltrate and infect you tonight. But more than anything else, I just want you to think about networking and making sure that intolerance doesn't stop you. You know what? My theme tonight, I don't know who sent this to me. It says, your value. I'm talking to all of y'all right now. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Y'all hear that? At Hopkins, you may run into a person or two that doesn't see your worth. But let me guarantee you, it doesn't decrease your value. And you too will join the leaders. I could have kept on going, but they're going to put us out of here. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. I want to bring up first, is Skip here yet? Come on, my brother. This is the executive director of this museum who's going to welcome you first. Skip and I go way back, and it's all good. Thank you for having us. People, thank you. This is our first time here. It is, and I hope you can help us continue. Skip Sanders, give him a hand. Executive Director.
Two things in Baltimore you don't do. Follow Elijah Cummings and Levi Watkins. My dear friend and brother, so good to see you. Ron, good to see you. Hi, everybody. I want to, and I see also that Carl is here. Councilman Stokes, appreciate you. I see I'm into the Nate thing. I'm going to stop it with you, Nate, okay? But I want to welcome you to your cultural home. In the name of Warren Heyman, in the name of all of our staff family. Why do I say that? Because if you are a believer in an inclusive meaning to the word America and an inclusive meaning to the term American, then we're your cultural home. We have an awful lot to do at this museum. And I'd like to tell you what my version of its mission is, because some people confuse it. Some people think we're a FUBU institution, for us, by us. No, not Carl Cannon. Our mission is to share with all visitors, virtual and physical, the iconic legacy and healing power of African American history and culture, so that we promote mutual understanding and greater unity. I think you couldn't have a finer mission than that. Last week I was reading an old book that I should have read when I was doing my dissertation. And at the very end of it, the author, LEVI, quoted W.H. Auden, who said that the challenge of the 20th century is we must all learn to love one another or we will all die. And then I said, my God, that was the 20th century. How much more true that is of us today as you look around the world and see all the places where we're not loving one another. So we're a place that's trying to build love through understanding of a great and iconic legacy. We're a very special institution. We're the second largest in the country, the largest on the East Coast, dedicated to this great legacy until the big national one on the mall comes up. We're 82,000 square feet. And if you don't have time, please let this be the beginning of your coming home, because there is so much to see and to do here. The third floor right above you, the entire third floor is dedicated to African American history and culture in Maryland. And as Levi said, we've got the giants. The National Museum, all of them have got to touch base with Maryland, or you're going to be missing Harriet Tubman and Thurgood Marshall, Frederick Douglass. I think you've got Matthew Henson, we go down the list, right? So Maryland is certainly touched stuff with this great history. The second floor where you are, there's not just this magnificent room, but immediately behind me and open for your pleasure tonight is our current changing exhibition, which was done by our curator, Dr. Michelle Wilkinson, just before the National Museum stole her in May. I'll see Lonnie about that at another time. But I want to tell you about this. The sort of appetizer is right behind you, where a flag artist named Sheila Cree Bright came up to Baltimore and took photos of people posing with the flag. She did not pose them. You had to strike your own pose, and it had to express what the flag evoked in you. And so you see our mayor there, former state superintendent Grasmick. One of my favorite at the top on the right, the gentleman is the manager of the hotel next door. You see him carrying the flag as if it were a sack or a burden. That's what this particular exhibition is about. So it's our way of getting into the Star-Spangled Banner celebration, but from a perspective that a minority community would have especially. That is, this flag can mean different things to different people in different communities. That's the theme of the exhibit. Please take your time and go through it. I want to apologize. We're doing what's called a de-installation. We had so many works to share that we cut it in half, and we're taking some pieces down and putting some new pieces up, 7 all told. And we'll reopen September 10th, but I ordered staff, please open it for our visitors tonight, because I want you to see what's in there. Just don't step on anything. And as you go through, toward the end, a lot of people miss it, but behind the wall at the far end, to my right, your left, is a video display done by a local boombox artist, beatbox artist called Shodike. He did research on all the different ways the national anthem's been sung. And so you can touch the face and you'll get, you know, Marvin Gaye's, he's got 3 versions there. You'll get Whitney Houston, you get Louis Armstrong, you get the little Latino boy who was 11 years old, who sang it so beautifully at the World Cup and during the NBA, and who got so many nasty pieces of hate emailed because why was someone who was Mexican singing the anthem? So we've got a lot of healing to do. So please come back. This is your home. I expect to see you, and you're always welcome. Thank you, Levi.
I'd like to bring up the president of Johns Hopkins Hospital and Health System, Ron Peterson, who has been with us the whole time. Incidentally, he supported this thing too tonight. We all are grateful, Danny. I are grateful for your support, and I hope we can continue your support. Give him a hand, though, Ron. This is a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Levi. You know, Levi retired officially this past year, but he has agreed to continue to help us with a number of important events, and this being, of course, one of them. And he's very modest. Let me give a little, some of you may not know, that this is an iconic gentleman within the Hopkins family. He came to us in 1970 to begin his surgical training. He came up from Vanderbilt, where he did his medical school work. And within a few short years, he became the very first black person to ascend to the position of chief resident in cardiac surgery. And in 1980, he implanted the very first automatic defibrillator in a human being right here at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, first in the country. If you study the life cycle of people who bother to give back in our society, generally speaking, people begin to do that in the waning years of their career. Dr. Watkins started giving back, at least insofar as I'm concerned, as early as 1979, when he was appointed